Hello, let us look at some review questions for the upcoming regions. Alright, so here's the first question. Now we realize that the from this picture, we have four lines going on intersecting with line R. Which statement is true? So as you can see on the bottom here, we are looking for lines that are parallel. That means we have to see either corresponding angles or alternate interior angles relationship holds true here. Then what are we going to do? So we realize that that's the 68 degrees, and then we see another angle right over here that's 68. Therefore, line L and P must be parallel, and that would be choice 2. All right, let's continue here. Which transformation will not always produce image that is congruent? All right. Not congruent, that means it has to be dilation, because dilation makes image bigger or smaller. Yes, it can be same size as well if its factor is 1 or -1, but it may not produce the images that are congruent. Alright, let's move on to number 3. So here, equilateral triangle is continuously rotated. So here we have equilateral, assuming that this is an equilateral triangle, we have line that's turning about that blue line. Then what kind of shape do you think we'll end up getting? That's right. We will see something that goes around here like this, which creates a cone. Alright, then let's move on to the next question. So here we have, in the diagram below, angle BDC is 100, and angle A is 50. Now, and then angle DBC here is 30. Now, next thing that which we get to realize is which statement is true, because that's 30. Then we should be able to figure out the angle C here, which is equal to 50. Then we get to realize that the triangle outside must be an isosceles triangle. So therefore choice 2 becomes the answer. Alright, number 5 here. So angle, point P is reflected or rotated counterclockwise by 90 degrees. That means only thing that seems to be working is point A here, because as you can see over here, angle here becomes 90 right over here. Alright, now in triangle ABC, angle C is a right angle. That means, oh wait a minute, if one of the angles is right angle, then what do you realize about the other two angles in that same triangle? Angle A and angle B, we get to realize that they are complementary. So then, when the angles are complementary, we realize that co-functions, meaning sine and cosine, they have the same value. So therefore, the answer is radical 21 over 5, just like cosine. Alright, let's move on to the next question here, number 7. Which information is not enough to prove that it is a parallelogram? So first one is, when one side is parallel and congruent. Yes, it is in fact important. It is in fact enough for you to prove that that is a parallelogram. How about the second one? So when the opposite sides are congruent, we realize that it's also enough for us to prove that it is a parallelogram. How about the other one? One pair of opposite sides are parallel, the other one is congruent. That seems to be true, but let me try to show you one picture. You see one pair of opposite sides are parallel, and the other pair can be congruent, but we end up getting isosceles trapezoid. And that's not a parallelogram. So therefore, choice 3 wouldn't work. Now, number 8, we have an equilateral triangle here. Side length is 20. Then, what is the height of the equilateral triangle? So, what I have done is I drew that height perpendicular to the base. Then we end up creating a 30, 60, 90 triangle. So, in this case, then hypotenuse becomes 20. Then side opposite from 30, which is this angle, that becomes half of that, which is 10. Then what do you realize about the height? By the ratio of radical 1, radical 3, and 2, we get to realize that height would have been 10 square root of 3. So then 10 square root of 3 is about 17.3. That becomes our answer. Alright, let's move on to the next question, number 9. So we have two triangles given, and FE is perpendicular to CE. So we realize that we see similarities here, but how can you have a similarity between the small triangle to the big triangle? In fact, you can see that we can rotate that triangle to the left, and then expanded it, then it would have been the big triangle that we see over here. Alright, so there would be choice 4. Let's look at number 10. In case of number 10 here, we are looking for length AC, so I'm just going to call that as X. Then what kind of relationship do you realize? We see similar triangles, one on the left and then big triangle. So we can set up a ratio of X over 4 equals. So X is the small side of the big triangle, and 4 is the small side of the small triangle. And then 10, which is 4 plus 6, that is in fact hypotenuse, and then from the small triangle, hypotenuse becomes X. So we could set up the same ratio. Then we get to realize the X squared must be equal to 40. Hence then X must be equal to 2 square root of 10, which is choice 2. Alrighty, let's move on to the next question. Number 11. So we have segment CD is perpendicular bisector of line segment AB. So then at E, so I'm going to try to draw the picture over here. That's E. Those two sides must be equal and then perpendicular in this way. Now, then first one, if I have to connect A to D and then B to D, then we in fact are creating an equal isosceles triangle. Because an isosceles triangle, the perpendicular, meaning altitude, is also the median. So therefore, two blue line segments will be equal to each other. So that tells us that our first one is true, and so is second one. And AE is in fact equal to BE because that was the perpendicular bisector, meaning the bisector cuts the line segment into two equal parts. But on the other hand, the last portion, DE and then CE, that we have no idea because we have no idea if those two parts are congruent or not. Alright, let's move on to the next question. Number 12. So, these are the line segments. RD is 4, RO is 6, and OH is 4 as well. And then I'm just going to call it CD as X. Then we get to realize two similar triangles here because angle R is reflexive, right over here. And then angle H is congruent to the angle RDO. So therefore we realize two sets of similar triangles. The proportion which I can write up is 4 to the 10, which is 4 was right over here, which is the one side from the smaller triangle. Those corresponding sides will be 10. And same thing is 6, which is the longest side from the small triangle. And the longest side from the big triangle then becomes X, 4 plus X. So therefore we get to see 60 must be equal to 16 plus 4X. And then here you get to see that 44 must be equal to 4X, and X is equal to 11. Alrighty, so choice 3 becomes the answer. Alright, let's move on to the next question. Number 13. The cross-section of the regular pyramid contains the altitude of the pyramid. The shape of this cross-section. So if I have to picture this one for you, I'm trying to draw a square-based pyramid over here. Now it has to have an altitude, so that means one such cross-section will be such like this, like a highlighted section, which gives you a triangle here. So therefore, choice 3 becomes the answer. All right, diagonal of the rhombus. They're in fact perpendicular here. That means slope has to be y equals x. That's how we have to begin, plus b. Because original slope was -1, line that's perpendicular should have the slope of negative reciprocal, which is equal to 1. Now, then this equation also has to contain point 2, 1 over here. Then we get to see that 1 equals 2 plus b, hence b is equal to -1. That means our equation is y equals x minus 1. Choice 1 becomes the answer. Alright, let's move on to the next one. Number 15. So we have triangle ABC, and then A and B are already given to you, and then area is 24 square units. Then what could be the coordinates of point C? So if I had to plot those 2 points, that can be A and that can be B, we realize that distance between them would have been equal to 8, because 4 to 12. That means if the C has to be on the other side, we get to realize the height would have been equal to h, so 8h must over 2 must be equal to 24. Then we can figure out the value of h to be equal to 6. Then I don't know where the point C might be at, but it should be along that green dotted line. So green dotted line has to be now 6 units away from 3, that means 9, or if I had to go the other side, 6 units below from 3 would have been -3. So choice 3 becomes the answer. Alright, number 16. So we want to find out the center and the radius. So what are we going to do? Yes, that's right, we're going to do completing the square method. So to the completing the square, I'm going to rewrite them with the x's and then with y's by themselves here. So here we get, now what do I need for? X squared minus 4x, it will be adding 4, so I have to add 4 to both sides. How about for y? I have to add, divide by 2 and then square that, right? So divide 8 by 2, we get 4, square that, it becomes 16. That means I need to add 16 to both sides here. And then now if I have to factor, x minus 2 is for the first one, and y plus 4 becomes the second one, and then is equal to 9. Then we get to realize the center must be 2, -4, and then radius must be equal to 3, which tells us that choice 1 would have been the answer. Alright, let's move on to the next question. Number 17. So density of American white oak tree is 752 kilograms per cubic meter. So notice that we have to check up on the units as well here. So circumference, we have one white oak, and then circumference is 4.5 meters, and height of the trunk is 8 meters. So then what are we going to do? We have to figure out the radius. So 2 pi r, circumference is 2 pi r, must be 4.5. That means r must be 4.5 over 2 pi. So that becomes our radius. Since we now know the radius, we should be able to find the volume. Volume must be then equal to pi r, which we just found out, square, times height. Then we get that value to be around 12.89. Okay. After that, what we need to do is we need to multiply that by density, which is 752 kilograms per cubic meters. So once you multiply them, then you get 9694, which is choice 2. Alright, number 15. So now Since it's a multiple choice question, what I'm going to be doing is this. I'll try to use the mass point idea and then center of mass formula to apply to find the point that has been segmented in the ratio of 1 to 5. So then what I have to do is I have to multiply 5 to the other one, which means 5 times -6 comma -2. So I understand this is a point, but I'm assuming the position vector kind of concept here, which allows me to multiply by numbers. So 5 times the first point and 1 times the second point, basically reversing the orders to keep the balance, and that's the idea where mass point is coming from. Once I do that, my x value becomes -24 and my y value is -3, and then I have to divide that by 6. Then I get to realize -4 comma -1/2. That becomes our final answer, which is choice 4. All right, number 19. So here we are trying to look for the sector here, area of sector, and area is usually theta over 360 times pi r squared. Now, then theta is 108, so 108 over 360 pi r, whatever that r will be. So that we have to see which one of them works out correctly. But 108 over 360 is in fact 3 over 10. So then in that case, first one, BC cannot, because BC is not right over here, is not a radius. Therefore, first one is out. How about the second one? OC, yes, OC is a radius, so you would have been okay. How about half of AB, which is, since AB is the diameter, half of AB would have been radius, which still works out. And the last one, you cannot square the diameter and divide that by 2, then it would be the same as dividing it by 2 and then square it, so therefore fourth one is out. So B and C becomes our answer, which is choice 2. Alright, number 20. So we have a cylindrical can that can hold 4 tennis balls here. And then we'd like to find the minimum volume of that. Then since the diameter is 6.7, height must be 4 times of that, because we have 4 balls stacked up into one another. Then the volume becomes pi, the radius, which is half of 6.7, pi r squared times the h. So once you try to calculate this one, you get to realize that's about 945, which is choice 4. Alrighty, let's move on to the next question, number 21. Line segment A prime B prime is the image after dilation of 1/2. That means original would have been double the length of what's given here. So therefore A prime, B prime, if you had to use the distance formula, you would have gotten something like this. Now, once you calculate this distance formula, you would have realized that it would be equal to 20, or you can just use the 3, 4, 5 triangle idea here as well. Now, but original length would have been then equal to what? Double the A prime and B prime, which is equal to 20, so therefore our answer should be 40 becomes the answer. Now, you want to have number 22, that highlighted triangle and its counterpart has to be proven congruent. So then what are we going to do? We realize one part, which is BE, and then DB congruent. And then, so that means as they also share the angle of B, then the entire side has to be equal to the other entire side. Then we're just missing AB or AD, and then CE. So anything that states that would have been our answer, which is choice 3. Alrighty, let's move on to the next question. Number 23. So let us say point D is that right over here. Then once you try to connect any of those 2 points, any points, then we get to realize right triangle, because opposite of intercepted arc is half of circle, which is 180. Divided by 2 becomes 90. So triangle BCD has to be a right triangle. Now number 24, we realize that CE is in fact congruent to BE, and then angle D is 112. That tells you that angle B, because opposite angles are congruent, also 112. Then angle B now then has to be equal to 68, so it's the other angle then, because they're isosceles. So then what we end up getting is 180 minus 2 of the 68. Now then the answer becomes 44. Alrighty, let's move on to the next question. Number 25. So they called it one segment of the tangent line is 5, and the other one is 3. So 5 to 3 ratio. It works in both ways. So here we have BD has been broken down into 5A and 2A, because a point from outside of a circle, 2 tangent line segments are equal to each other. That's why we can assume that BC must be equal to 5A, and CD must be equal to 3B. Then as we set up an equation here, we get to realize that A must be equal to 7. And then since CD is 3 times of that, so therefore 21 becomes the answer. Alright, so we like to see the image of the first triangle. Well, the first transformation happens by translating 5 units to the right and 2 units up. So I just translated point A and point B, and point C would have been in this way. Now, once we get that, second transformation is reflection about y equals x. Reflection about y equals x is the same thing as x-axis. So I'm going to flip the given one over the x-axis, then we get those 3 points. So that becomes our final answer. Alrighty. So let's move on to number 27. A regular hexagon has been rotated so that it will become itself. So that means we have to rotate it that much, which is 60-degree angle. If you rotate it by 60-degree angle, then first side becomes the second side becomes third side, and so forth and so on. Alrighty. So therefore the answer is 60 degrees. Alright, so what are we going to do to construct a median? So I use the compass about point A and then drew the circle around it. And so as you can do the B, then we get to realize perpendicular bisector. I understand we're not trying to get perpendicular bisector, but from there we can find the midpoint of the line segment AB, which will help us to figure out the median. And that becomes our answer. So next one is this. We have 2 triangles has been rotated about 120 degrees. Now, so angle L is 47. That means corresponding angle from the other triangle must be 47 as well, which is our angle P. Likewise, angle N is 57. Then their corresponding angle, which is angle K, also be 57 as well. Now we want to figure out angle M. All we have to do is 180 minus the other 2 angles, which is 76 degrees. All right. Number 30. A circle has center at 1, -2 and radius of 4. So that means equation would have looked like something like this. equals 16. And we want to see if that point is on the line or on the circle or not. All I have to do is plug it in place of x and y, and to see if the equation is satisfied. So I did that, and then put left section into the calculator. Then we get to realize 16 was indeed equal to the other 16. So the point is on the circle. All right, number 31. So I have 75, 15, and then we're trying to find the length of the ladder here. In that case, I can use the sine of 75 because it has to be equal to 15 over x. Then you can realize that x must be 15 divided by sine of 75. And once I calculate that, it will be approximately be 15.53. So therefore, 15.5 becomes our final answer. Alrighty. Number 32. So what I'm doing here is that this is a way that I was able to draw the dilation by factor of 2. Let me try to show you one more time. Just extend the size and go double from the measurement using the compass. And then when you connect the longer size, then we get to realize that that must be A prime and B, C prime. Now we get to realize that the length will be double, but yet line segments will be parallel. And you can see the same thing from similar triangles as well. Alright, so here we get angle C has been rotated 90 degrees so that it will be C prime, as you can see over here, about point A. And you can see that it does create a 90-degree angle. But how about point B? Point B is from original C over here. What it ended up happening is go 1 unit towards A and then go 4 units to the right. So if you're to apply the same thing, go 1 unit towards the C point A, and then go 4 units across. We get to realize angle B must be 7, 1. Now we need to see that A prime, B prime, C prime is in fact equal to or congruent to angle EFD. In fact, the answer is indeed yes, because they are the reflection over line negative x. I mean x equals -1. All right. By the reflection. All right. First, let's call the smaller angle on the bottom as A. And then bigger angle is theta. That's already given to us. Then we consider tangent of A from the smaller triangle is 12 over 75, which is angle A now becomes 9.09. But in order for us to get angle theta, what we have to do is we have to get the tangent of the entire figure. So tangent of angle A plus theta will be equal to 72 over 75. Then angle A plus theta, we realize that must be 43.83. So once you subtract 9.09, we should be able to get the angle theta here. 34.74. All right. So 34.7 becomes our answer to the nearest tenth. All right. Let's look at number 35. So what we're going to be doing is first we're going to draw the two chords. So now what I'm going to do is I'll be using a similar triangle concept. So angle A must be congruent to angle C because they share an arc, which is right over here. Arc BD. Now, how about the second one? Yes, that's right. Angle BEC is congruent to angle DEA or AED because they're vertical angles. Since vertical angles are congruent when two lines meet, which is the case here. So we now know that those two triangles are similar. By AA. Then we can set up a proportion here because line segments are similar. I mean, lines are part of the similar triangles. Alright, that's because corresponding sides in similar triangles are in proportion. Alright, so then now we can say that statement, and it is because product of means is equal to product of extreme. Alright, let's move on to the next question. So number 36. It's a long question. It's another density question. We need to first find the volume. In order for us to find the volume, we need to figure out the radius as well. And first, let's try to find the volume of the hemisphere, which will be instead of 4/3, now we have 2/3 because we have half of the sphere. Now, 8.3 divided by 2 is the radius. And we have to cube it because it's supposed to be 4/3 pi r cubed. But in this case, 2/3 pi r cubed. Now, second volume will be volume of a cone. Radius is 8.3 over 2, same way as before. Square that and times by height, which is 10.2. Then we have entire volume so far is 333.65. Now, if you have to multiply that to the 0.000697, which is the density, and then multiply that by 3.83 in terms of the weight, and we have to multiply that by 50 because we have to make 50 snow cones. Then we get to realize that the answer is 4453. Becomes our final answer. Alright, with that one, we are done. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.